Ever had a seller suddenly change their mind after agreeing to a deal? This happens all the time, and today I'm going to talk to you about why it happens and what you can do to avoid it. So, if you've ever been in this space, you know how frustrating it can be. One minute everything is going great, and the next minute the seller is suddenly pulling back. But why does this happen? Well, there are a few key reasons sellers get cold feet, and understanding them can help you stay ahead of the game. Let's break those steps down. And for the record, this might be tailored more towards that real estate agent or that real estate investor, or maybe you're just a landlord, right? You're just doing something within the real estate space. But I do want to be clear, this is very versatile information, all right? You can take this information and implement it in any space that you'd like, right? Now, take some of the points and you can implement them. A lot of these other points will be definitely geared more towards that real estate investor side of things, right? Because a lot of times we're dealing with people on a day to day, and they come with some of the biggest problems that we have to face. So here's one thing, right? So the fear of selling too low. How many times have we come across a seller and they're just like, man, I agree to that price. That price is perfect. It works for you and it works for me. But then they happen to go look on the market and they see that they have a neighbor that sold their house for $20,000 more than what you're offering, right? Or $30,000 more than what you're offering. But now that's your time to not combat with them or negotiate, but more so to just educate them. And that's a point that I will get to later on in this video. But for right now, I'll try to keep it brief. And I'll just tell you, look, educate them. Figure out how to do that. Know the market. That's all on you, because you got to remember, you're speaking to somebody that's not really into investing the way you are, but here you are and you have the knowledge. So make sure that you educate them. And again, I'll talk to you about that later on in this video. Another reason why they back out: family and friends influencing them. This is a big one. I've had this happen to me many times. Like, so many times I can't even count. And a lot of this happens because, family and friends, they obviously have a huge impact on a decision that somebody close to them makes. And I always encourage people that do business with me to speak it over with their family, because one thing you don't want is a family feud. All right, nobody wins when the family feuds, right? Shout out to Jay. But it's the truth, man. I mean, I can give you a few examples, right? So like, they'll get a number in mind, they'll tell you, they'll be happy about it. But the minute they go and talk to their family, now the family has their own input, right? Because now everybody has their hands out too. And that's none of my business. But that's another reason why sellers back out, because a family or friend influences them. Getting a realtor involved. I literally have a property right now that we're going through this with right now, right as we speak. All right, I posted a couple of videos on my shorts. It's with a house that comes with an extra lot, and the seller is very non-committal. I'll talk to you more about that one. Very non-committal, but I like it because it's teaching me something, right? This is the first time I've dealt with this type of person, this type of personality, and it's a great learning experience for me. But once realtors get involved, and I do want to say this, shout out to all the realtors out there, all right, especially the ones that I work with. I love working with you all. I love breaking bread. They're great to me. A lot of my realtors, they also invest in real estate, and that's what makes it pretty cool. The relationship is pretty cool, and we're always building on that, always rubbing shoulders, creating opportunities for each other. So realtors are good, right? There's some great realtors out there, and then they have some bad ones too, but that's not for me to talk about. Second guessing if they actually want to sell. I have a crazy stat, right? So second guessing if they actually want to sell. A lot of the times, sellers might have some sentimental value to that property. This could have been a property that belonged to a loved one, right? And they just inherited it. Maybe they used to visit it as a kid, right? So now they're thinking about it. Maybe they were married to this person, right? So now they're thinking about it and they're just like, man, like, do I really want to sell this? I mean, I remember all of these great memories we had here in this house. And we've all dealt with every single, if you're somebody that's out there talking to people every single day, like I mentioned on a few of my videos, just talking to people every day, letting them know what it is that you do, whatever it is, then you will come across each one of these people at least once, twice, three times. Like sometimes you might come across the same person in that day. You might come across somebody that has these same issues, in just one person having all of these issues. It's possible, right? So I think that's the issue. Like you have to realize who you're dealing with and figure out how you can help them. But here's the stat: 25% of Americans are not 25% of Americans are investors, right? Are people that invest in properties. That's 25% of the housing market. 75% are just normal, regular people that just work, a regular job, a great job for them, but a regular job. They just work in a regular job and they have a house. So you have to understand what ties into that. A lot of that connection, right? So this is the biggest investment that they've ever made, right? Ever. This is one of the biggest investments that they've ever made. So when it comes to selling it, they're gonna have some restraints. They're gonna be scared. They're gonna be nervous, right? A lot. They've never done this before. All they remember is buying it. They don't remember ever having to go through selling it, right? So when you buy that first home or whatever, it's gonna come with some issues, right? And even if this is a house that you bought 20, 15 years ago, whatever the case may be, obviously there's going to be some wear and tear, some things going to break. And, normally these people aren't educated enough to know exactly what they have to do to get it fixed. They have to hire somebody. So here you come and you're like, hey, I'll buy it as is. I mean, of course they're going to be scared. 75%, right? So that means that the majority of the people that we're speaking to are people that are not investors. So they're not going to be savvy over the phone. They're going to be just really calm and even keel about it, and then nervous. Sentimental value is going to hold some type of value to them that's going to scare them and make them not really care to sell it anymore because they just don't have the knowledge. Okay? So they'll second guess themselves. So how can we keep the deal alive? So those were all the reasons why, well, not all, but those were most of the reasons why people back out after agreeing. But how, which is probably why you're here, how do you keep the deal alive? And I'm going to give you some examples of what I'm currently going through with a couple of deals and how I'm saving them and will eventually end up at the closing table. So it's all about controlling the conversation. Think about it. So I mentioned that I have a gentleman right now that when we first got a hold of him, he was extremely excited about selling. I mean, extremely excited. He was like, it's a house that's there. It belongs to my uncle, and I want to sell it because I don't live anywhere near that house, and I just want to sell it. But I know it's in a great area. I just don't know too much about the area, and this is the number that I'm looking to get for that house. He wants $300,000. That's what he wanted. Not that price was too rich, but it was a little bit too rich. Okay, but I asked him if he was negotiable. He said, yes, I am negotiable. Again, I don't have much knowledge about it. So I'm controlling the conversation, right? I'm asking him some open-ended questions within our conversation, which I'm sure kept him talking and it kept me listening, and I'm able to take notes and rebuttal based on certain things that he's saying, but I'm repeating it as well so that he can hear that I was listening. He understands that I'm listening, and I want to help his needs as much as I can. And I send him the contract, but I send it at $220,000. So he comes back to me and says, "Man, that's really, really, really low. That's pretty low. I think I want to get some second opinions before I can even commit to anything." So, and this is one wrong thing, right? I don't really like doing this. I don't like giving a number and then increasing my number by a lot, because it's a way of losing trust. So I probably lost his trust after doing this, but then I'm slowly gaining it back. So I came back and I said, you know what, we can do 280, because at this point in time I had sent it to my realtor, and and he was able to look things over for me, and he's also somebody that invests with me as well. So he looked at it from the investor's lens and then the realtor lens, and he was just like, you know what, we can probably do 280. So I countered and I came back at 280, and he says, you know what, that's pretty fair. I'm gonna send it over to my attorney. I'm gonna have my attorney look it over. Okay, so now it's my job, right? The ball is back in my court, because now I'm kind of leaving him be. He's doing what he's got to do, but it's up to me to follow up with him, right? And because I know what type of energy he has, what type of personality he is, I'm making sure that I'm being very calm with my approach. I'm not being too aggressive, because sometimes that can really push people away, right? So I'm being extremely calm with my approach. I'm just I'm just doing a little check-in every now and then, right? And also leaving that door open to let him know that, hey, I'm still here, I'm still interested. Let's go, right? So we went from him telling me, yeah, I'm gonna come out there on this day. This is when we were all happy go lucky, right? I'm gonna come out here on this day, and we can meet. I'll show you the house. You can get a quick tour of it. Do what you have to do. Then after he finds out my price, then he kind of starts backing off, like, oh, I don't know if I'm coming out there. I'll see what happens. I'm kind of playing it by ear, just not really trying to tell me too much. I kept talking to him. I kept following it up occasionally, and eventually he came out and he was just like, you know what? I am gonna be out there tomorrow. If you're available, please stop by. Let's sit down. Let's talk. Let's walk the house, right? So I gained his trust back, right? Long story short, we went and checked the house out, and he did have a realtor there. That's another video. I'll tell you more about it. But we're still in the game. We gave him that offer, and now we'll be following up with him in the next day or so to kind of see where we're at with that one. But I think we have a pretty good shot. But it's all about how you control the conversation, right? You can control the conversation without being extremely aggressive and almost making them feel like they control it, right? That's the beauty of this whole thing. It's a mental piece. And this can go with any business. This is not tailored directly towards real estate. This is just negotiating and just having a conversation, just being a human being. Now, earlier in the video, I mentioned it's all about educating them, right? So what do I mean by that? So I'll use this example again. I'll use this seller again. So the first thing that he mentioned to me was, yeah, the house across the street sold for like $560,000. He was right. It did sell for $560,000. But, I can't just let him walk away with that. I had to say to him, well, all right, it did sell for that much, but we also have to keep in mind that that's a new build, right? That house was a new build, and you can never compare a new build to a renovated house. It's two different ball games. And that new build was also like 3 stories tall. His house is a rancher. Granted, it does come with an extra lot, but we still don't know if that lot is buildable yet until we get the information that we need, right? So that's part of educating them. You have to let them know, like, well, those comparables do not equate to what you have over there. They aren't equal at all, right? So he was like, oh, okay, well, I completely understand now. I'm like, but I understand where you came from, but that's the importance of it. It's all about how you educate the seller, right? They're not knowledgeable of this at all. Remember, 75% of them are not in this business. They just inherited the house, or it was their first house, and that's just kind of where the story ends for them, right? It's not about what I can do with it, or how can I turn this into money. It's just, hey, look, I'm selling it. I don't know what's going on, but hey. And he was even transparent with me. He even told me, he said, look, I don't know much about the market, but I do want to get a second opinion, right? I do want to have my attorney look some things over, and maybe a realtor can help me analyze the data, and I can see if your offer is really that offer that best fits me. And that's the rest is kind of going to be up to me, right? I offer my speed, convenience, and we have some of the best numbers in town, but it's really up to him on how he feels me out and how I present myself to him, and showing him that, hey, look, I can execute. So that's something that, I'll be updating you guys on my channel with, and we'll see what we get with that. I think we have a pretty great shot at getting this. So use strategic follow-ups, right? So you're asking the right questions instead of pressuring. Remember, and asking the right questions, we even teach our callers, right? It's all about the open-ended questions. But you have to ask the right open-ended questions. It's like who, what, when, where, why, right? Like literally, who, what, when, where, why. And with these are questions, and it's going to force that person to have to talk. Now, the reason why I said this guy is a little different from any other seller that I've ever dealt with is because he's just so non-committal, but he's just very neutral. Okay, so like even with my open-ended questions, it's almost like he gives me like some of the shortest answers, right? But then I have some open-ended questions that kind of force him to open up a little bit. And because he opens up a little bit, it creates a better conversation, a better flow between him and myself. And that's why we were able to go check the property out together and go look at him and talk to him. And he was able to see me for the first time. And it was a pretty cool interaction. But that's really what it's about, right? You have to ask the right questions. So, for example, I have another deal. I have another deal that I was working on, another person that I was working with. And this gentleman, very cool. He was an older guy. Very, I think he's like 86, right? And I'm telling you this story because I'm giving you another example of how you can negotiate with people, and sometimes knowing when you should back away. And in this case, I decided to back away. So it was an older gentleman, and he mentioned to me, yeah, I have this lady that she really wants to buy it, right? She said she'll pay me $50,000 for this house, and she just really wants to buy it. And I said, well, you know what? How about you give me a shot? Let me come take a look at it, and I'm pretty sure I can pay you that 50,000, right? Because he said he's been talking to her for a few months now, but she hasn't done anything, right? And we're really big on making offers. So we went, I meet him, I leave him off with an offer. Our last words to each other were, hey, look, follow up with me tomorrow or the day after. I'm going to talk to my daughter about it and let her know that I might be going with you with this one, and whatever the case may be, right? So we did that. I followed up with him on the day that we said we would. And his response to me was, well, I have not talked to my daughter yet. I said, okay, no problem. Strike one. I call it. We say, hey, follow up with me in 2 days. We do that. Oh man, I have not talked to my daughter yet. I tried to call her, but she didn't answer. So, I still haven't talked to her. Okay, strike two. No problem. Let's follow up tomorrow. Okay, yeah, follow up with me tomorrow. That's perfect. I follow up tomorrow, and again, what do you think happens? Of course, he didn't talk to his daughter again. So I said, okay, no problem. So here was my part. Here's what I did. This was my play. And this is also a great way to stay in the loop, right? So I said to him, I said, well, look, I have a question for you. Does this house hold some type of sentimental value to you? And he said, yeah, it does. I had it for, no, actually, he said, no, it doesn't. I've had it for a little while, but, I didn't really care much about the house because he lives right across the street from it. But he said, it's just there. I said, okay. I said, well, is the issue really because you want to talk to the young lady that mentioned she'd pay you $50,000 first? Because I'm offering you the same thing, but it just seems like you're not really moving forward. And he was just like, you know what, you're right. Yeah, I kind of feel like I need to give her a shot. So instead of me pushing, I started to back away. I said, you know what? I think you should give her that shot, right? Why don't you give her a call? Tell her, hey, look, I'm ready to sell it, and see what happens. Like maybe you'd be doing her more of a favor than you'd be doing me, right? There's many houses out here. We can always go and market to somebody else. But look, our offer still stands, but you might be helping this young lady and her family out. So I think you should go with that one. Stick with your gut. He said, man, you know what? I really appreciate that. I respect that. And yeah, I'll go ahead and give her a shout. Now, look, the play for me can be I can always follow back up with him next month. And he might end up selling to me at that point in time, especially if she is not executed, right? Because now he'll be like, you know what? I did reach out, no answer, but I appreciate that you told me to go ahead and work with her in the first place. And because of that, I'm now willing to work with you because I appreciate your honesty. And that's all it is. It's all about being transparent and honest. Remember, it's a mind, it's almost like a mind game. Like you're literally speaking to people that are ready to sell some of the biggest investments that they've ever made, right? And you just have to understand that. You have to understand it. You have to understand that it's all about finding a way to help this person. It's not about the money because I could have hawked him down and just kept saying, yeah, you know, I'll buy it, I'll buy it, I'll buy it. But at some point in time, that gets annoying. It gets exhausting for myself and to him, right? He might get tired of hearing from me at that point. So you just back away. So if you ever had a deal that's falling through, drop it down here in the comments. I want to talk to you about it. Let's see how we can come up with strategies together, right? So maybe I can help you. And remember, I would love for you to write your email. Go ahead and hit that link below. Type your email and let's get you some newsletters. I've been giving out free newsletters all month and I'm going to continue to do it every single week for free. I'm going to give you some pointers. We're going to talk about the previous videos. We're going to talk about some upcoming videos. We'll talk about some upcoming events. I just want to keep you in the loop. So subscribe to the newsletters and subscribe to the channel, like, share, and let's get it, man. Let's talk. Let's talk. Let's talk. Let's talk. Let's talk. All right. I'm interested in hearing everything that you have to say. I want to talk more to you. I appreciate any new followers that did subscribe. And shout out to you for coming back and checking out another one of my videos. Peace. Oh, bonus. This is a great book. If you're somebody that's into negotiating, which we all are, right? Because we're in the business of sales. Never Split the Difference. Great book so far by Chris Voss. I'm enjoying it. It's my read of the month so far. And that's another thing I'll share in my newsletters. I'll share some books because knowledge is power, but applied knowledge is even more powerful. So, but this book is great for negotiating and teaching you how mental this game is. It's all mental, right? I've had some sellers sell houses to me after telling me that they don't want to do business with me. It's all mental. It's all on how you handle yourself, how you handle the adversity, right? How you handle their rebuttals, how you handle their negative reviews. How do you bounce back from that? All right. But again, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Talk to you soon. Peace.